Does officiating at non-disabled mainstream games as well, and how initially people are sort of a bit taken aback as she turns up and she's quite obviously disabled and in a wheelchair, but as soon as she's officiating, you know, that's it. It's
about skills.
All those things go out the window and people just, you know, see the table official as she is, and as they should really. But it's breaking down those barriers, and like you say, there aren't that many people who are disabled in those roles.
Exactly.
I think now there's more opportunity for coaching qualifications, particularly in wheelchair basketball. I do remember years back it was quite difficult to do coaching courses because there weren't that many available, but now there's a regular programme where people are actively encouraged to take on those roles.
And we've been lucky enough, actually, we've run 2 courses in the last kind of couple of years, but we have struggled to get people onto those courses, and I think a lot of that is part of it's a fear factor, particularly amongst able-bodied coaches, that they don't feel like they'll have the skills to adapt their existing knowledge. There's also a fear factor generally of, I guess, not knowing what a disabled person will be able to do, and until you actually engage with somebody with a disability and you say, right, well, you just ask. I mean, that's...
I think that is it, though. It's a wider, I won't say prejudice, but it's more of a lack of understanding about disability as a whole and what's involved in that. And I think there's a lot of fears people have that are usually quite unfounded about what they might be required to do or help with or support. And actually, it's not like that in reality. I also think that the Paralympic Games now, the result of that high publicity will really help because people will be more aware of Paralympic sport and look out for it more in their local areas, whereas I think a lot of people, particularly if they're not interested in sport generally, don't even know it's there, and they don't know what's involved. And I mean, even recently I had someone say to me, what do you miss about being Paralympian? And I said, well, actually all the hours of training, having to get up really early 6 days a week and, you know, train twice a day. And you went, really? You have to train? And I thought, oh my God, what do you think I do?
Wow.
No, we just turn up and have a go.
Well, and I guess it is about breaking down those kind of, you know, assumptions or presumptions.
People just don't know. I mean, to be honest, maybe a lot of people don't know what's involved in being a top athlete anyway. And maybe they just think people are just really talented and they turn up and do it, and they might do it for fun. Maybe they don't realise the sort of science and the effort and everything else that's involved in it. But certainly the more things that are out there that people can see, and like when we were saying about cross sectors, I mean, all different sort of roles, people become more aware of what opportunities might be there, and then start looking for them.
So how has the work Accentuate? How is it influencing? Because obviously it's about general cultural change, about perception and understanding and awareness. But how specifically in sport, in a sporting context, has that work started to impact on what's going on at a local level?
Yeah, well, Accentuate are partly involved with the Playground to Podium project. That's one of the 15 projects. So, I mean, I haven't personally had all that much to do with that. I'd have liked to have gone along to some of the selection days and things and seen it all in action. But that's certainly something that's, you know, taking things from a grassroots level and building up and giving people support around that. And that's, you know, that's nationwide. It's not just in the southeast. So that's one of the things. Other than that, I think a lot of what we've been doing isn't necessarily directly sports related, but it's been more about the idea of the Paralympics involving lots of other countries. So there's stuff around young people campaigning about an issue that's pertinent to them and matching that up with issues that are important for children in other countries as well around disability, and so there's a lot of that sort of worldwide sort of context, and the rest of it's more about arts and stuff.
Kind of leadership there.
Yeah, there's a lot of stuff around leadership, and particularly one of the ones that Emma mentioned called Think Southeast, which has been about taking artists who want to create, but then to do something with what they've created and put it forward and find a niche for themselves and make it a professional and going concern, if you like. So it's been coaching them and mentoring them in and teaching them the skills of leadership, as you say. So there's lots of different aspects, I think, that you can take from sport and apply in other areas. And what you said before about having role models, for me that's really important. I do workshops within schools around, not many of them, but more so now the Paralympics is coming actually, because it ties in quite well, but around positive disabled role models. And some of that's in mainstream schools, but some of it's in special education schools as well. And one of the things that a teacher once said to me was that it became apparent to her that one of her students thought he had cerebral palsy, was in a wheelchair, had round-the-clock care and support, but he thought that when he left school he'd be able to walk about and do all the things that other people he knew who weren't disabled could do. And the reason he thought that was because he'd never seen a disabled adult.
Wow.
So he thought that obviously this is
when
something you grow out of.
Yeah.
Because, you know, where are all the other people? And it's, you know, I just think that's quite sad, really.
Well, that's massive that within a school environment there aren't any of those role models coming in and talking to other...
No, exactly. And that is one of the things that the company that I was doing this bit of work for, we were then talking to them about getting ex-students to come back and do talks with them and talk about even just that transitional period into leaving school and going out into the big wide world. But yeah, I mean, how many... I sort of think when I was younger, how many times did I see disabled athlete or you know, anybody in any position of authority in my life with a disability? I mean, obviously there probably were some that maybe had more hidden disabilities, but it's certainly nothing that stuck out. And I know things have changed and are changing, but hopefully those things will get, you know, more and more.
I think this, I mean, I've been really genuinely surprised and impressed with the amount of coverage that the Paralympics is getting this year already in the lead up, and the backstories of athletes and all the various people that are involved, and the movement itself is more high profile than it's ever been in my lifetime. So that's got to be really positive, kind of moving us forward.
Yeah, definitely. And that is, it's awareness, and more people know about it. They're not going Paralympics, which I read the other day, which happens quite a lot.
You still read that, to be fair.
Yeah, of course. And what's that? And you know, oh, that's the thing that comes after the second best thing. Or if I miss the real thing, then I'll watch the Paralympics and all that stuff.
No, I think their attitudes have definitely changed.
I know when we went to Sydney, they said they were going to be broadcasting live over the internet some of our matches, and my mum and dad waiting up about 3 in the morning to watch our game, and then it didn't get broadcasting. Yeah, some sort of technical hitch, and it never happened. But so they never saw me play at the Paralympics at all. So,
were you even privy to video afterwards? Could you not access?
No,
there was no coverage.
There was, but it was all snapshots. At that time, it was like highlights on grandstand or something. At the end of the day, it was half an hour on BBC Two. And even at Athens, sort of 4 years later, there was a bit more, but not really very much. So I mean, what Channel 4's doing, or what they've committed to do, is great, and the support they're putting in place in all their programming, really, to get disabled people on TV more is great. I do worry a little bit about the sort of sensationalisation of different types of disability and stuff that goes on, that sort of freak factor thing.
I think in a sense though it's part of the course, isn't it? With anything that's kind of new, and I don't know, TV's a kind of beast in its own right, isn't it?
They're trying to make a story, and they're trying to make it dramatic and exciting.
When actually it doesn't need to be. It's a reflection of life and society and what different people do and have to go through. And you know, they managed to do that on Coronation Street, or they used to do it on Coronation Street without too much sensationalism. Now they have to have train crashes and all kinds of... I think that's more a reflection of the kind of TV culture that's developed in the Western world, which is pretty horrible, but still has its benefits at times and stuff. And we're just a bit aware that these guys are trying to get ready. What I did want to ask you is, would you be open to the idea of coming and presenting in terms of being a positive role model that could talk about kind of leadership and volunteering and coaching, and the kind of powerful roles that those people have in opening access? We have... I have a particular event in mind. We ran a conference this year, back in May, and what I'll do is, I've got your card, so I'll send you a link so you can see what we did last year and some of our ideas for the coming year. So last year we didn't have anything to do with kind of disability or access, and that's something we're really keen to resolve, and we're working with Peter and some other people locally to do that. But yeah, also, it's really difficult in an Olympic and Paralympic year to get current athletes to come in.
Yeah, well, of course, no.
We wouldn't dream of trying to say, look, do you mind giving up your 2 hours of break? Exactly. So, but it'd be great if we could have somebody who's been there, done that, experienced that. So if I send you an email with something,
it's not a personal email address. It's like an info app or something. I think so. It's that if you just
if I send
who or what it was about, then I'm sure they'll pass it on to me before we go to Emma to pick it up. So.
It's breakout time.
Thank you very much for your time.